How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the latest CAF update. Bill Cox, of course, and it's been a rather busy week. I've finally caught up on my sleep. I have not caught up on all the emails. So for all of you who have emailed me in the last 3 weeks waiting on a reply, I promise, I pledge today that I will have all of my emails answered by Sunday afternoon, without question. So I do apologize for the delay. I've been just trying to order my emails in order of importance, primarily, but I think I'll be able to have them all done by then. If fate is on my side, I'll have them done by Saturday. So I know there's a lot of people waiting some questions about advertising, and there's a lot of people I invited to be on the stream, in fact, who've replied to me, but I haven't been able to get back in touch with them. So we're not going to do a Comic Art Live recap because I've already done a couple of those already. Check out Sunday's final panel, and you can also check out Tuesday evening's chat with Mike, Glenn, and Will. We kind of hit on a lot of things, and I've already sent out a survey. If you haven't gotten a survey as an attendee or an exhibitor, I would say shoot me an email through the site, and I will get you a link to fill that out. I've gotten a lot of them back already, and I've kind of skimmed the feedback from there, and there's a lot of great stuff. I'll eventually put all those thoughts together into a report so that everybody can see it and comment on it, because I think there's even better things that came out of some of the feedback I've gotten than what has come out of the live chats that we've done the last couple days. So outside of that, I just want to jump into things because I really want to get on with our guest this evening. And Malvin, somebody who I have had a lot of admiration for, because he's one of the more very outspoken. He's always putting posts in the Comic Art L. I've seen his posts for a long time, and we've really never chatted about the hobby. So I'm looking forward to that. So I want to get right into the thick of a few things here. Actually, let me get, let's see, there was one preview here that I wanted to look over and have ready for us. So, all right, here, I've got it queued up. So, all right. So we're going to start off with the Comic Art dealer sales for the week. Now, dealer sales for the week were actually down 241,000 this last period, which was for the period November 9th through the 15th, as opposed to almost 300,000 for the period before that. Probably had a bit to do with all the auctions going on last week. Everybody was busy. The Comic Art Live on the weekend. I would expect to see those numbers increase next week. The big seller of that period was Felix, with 76 sales totaling 91,000 plus. The next up was Albert Moy with 27 sales for 44,000 plus, and Panel Page came in third with just 4 sales, but for $32,000. And one of his sales, actually from Glenn, is one of the first, is actually the first piece in here. Let me pull that up. He had a sale that appeared in the Comic Art Live, but in talking with him, the sale actually occurred before Comic Art Live. So it ends up being in the dealer report, and I'll take it out of my stats for Comic Art Live. So here we go. As I said, total sales for this period was $241,005. This first piece is a Submariner 68 cover by John Romita Sr., sold for $25,000 as an asking price by Panel Page Art prior to Comic Art Live. And next up is this artwork sold by Albert Moyes by Paul Pope. It's from Wednesday's Comics. It's Adam Strange, page 2. Asking price on this was $12,000. Now, the next 4 pieces are all by Felix. No wonder, since he sold as much as he did. This is the Amazing Spider-Man cover to $850. It sold for $12,000. Artworks by Ryan Otley. And next up is a complete issue sale. It was the complete issue to Legion of Superheroes, issue number 2 by Ryan Sook. It sold for $12,000 by Felix. And next up is a complete interior sale to Captain Marvel, issue 17. This is by Felipe Andrade. It's sold for $11,000 on the 15th by Felix again. And last but not least is another Ryan Otley Spider-Man cover, which sold for $10,000. I really like this cover because at the end, when I first looked at it, I didn't get that he was tipped sideways in it. And then I see it and I'm like, man, that is one hell of a cool cover. Ryan deserves everything, all the accolades that he's gotten. His work is amazing. And, when I got these figures, I went to Felix and I'm like, hey, these were just for the covers, right? Because these are really good sales, but it's about what I would expect to see out of them. And he confirmed that they were just for the covers, because when market data comes into me, sometimes I can tell when it's a complete issue and other times I can't. So on some stuff like that, I have to go back and get clarification from everybody. Let's see what we got here. Pulling up next is going to be the auction house report. The auction sales this past week were actually up. 303,000 was the total sales, and that's compared to 259 in the prior period. Now, in part, that was due because Heritage actually had a charity auction that ran in this period. I didn't even know it. I don't know how I missed all the PR for it. It wasn't very big. I think they only had about 30 pieces of art in it, and I didn't include them in this report, but there were a couple noteworthy pieces. There was a Mark Silvestri Darkness #3 cover that sold for 21,600. There was a Liefeld New Mutants page that sold for just over 10,000, and then there was a Frank Cho Emma Frost painting that sold for 4,800. And of course, none of these are actually in this part of the report, but they're worth mentioning. It was the charity was called Give Comics Hope, and it was held, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday of last week. And I just happened to see it when I was running through the data that Heritage sends me every week, and I would let them know that, hey, I don't know how the heck I missed this thing, because it seemed like there were some really nice pieces in it. So with that in mind and out of the way, I'll give you the rundown on eBay and then the Heritage weekly sales. Like I said, 303,000 and comic art auctions. This first piece is a Harley Quinn 23 cover by Bruce Timm, sold for $5,111 on eBay. And this next piece was a charity auction, and it was for Jim Lee's Gambit commission. It's 9x12, and it sold for just over $5,000. And with a very similar price was this Steranko homage, very cool Hulk #3 cover art. And we had featured this one. I thought it was pretty cool. Frank can kind of do no wrong with the cross hatching, right? And these next three are for Heritage. They are the, this is Dave Sim Spawn #10 variant cover, sold for $2,880. There's been a couple of these Sim variant covers of late at Heritage. This is Kurt Swan and Murphy Anderson, of course. This is from Superman 243, sold for $2,040. And then this final piece is actually a Dungeons and Dragons piece. And I don't know how I missed it, because, you know, I'm a big fan of that. This is from Carl Waller. It's a Forgotten Realms piece. It sold for $2,040. And of course, it was produced in 1991. Don't see too many of those things on the market anymore. So I don't know. Well, clearly, I think I was busy with other things last week, so I didn't see it. Now let's just get into the popular art of the week. There's a lot of it. And let's just get this thing rolling. This is Incredible Hulk Annual 13. It's page 21. Collection of Michael Cross. It's by artists Alan Kupperberg and Jerry Tillock. And next up is a piece from the collection of Brian Ketterer. We've got a couple of pieces by him in this one. It's Amazing Spider-Man 75, page 12 by John Romita Sr. and Jim Mooney. This is a Jeff Shaw Juggernaut #2 cover in the collection of Dan T. I thought that was a good expression on that guy. This is a Hellboy pinup. It was a San Diego Comic-Con print, I believe, from 1998, of course, by Mike Mignola, and the collection of Bob Fish. And of course, a George Perez cover. This is the cover to Batman 438 in the collection of Matt E. This cover, it goes all the way back to 1989, 31 years ago. Probably my favorite piece of the week. This is in the collection, again, of Brian Ketterer. This is by artists Jim Starlin and Steve Leialoha. And what's one hell of an image of Thanos, isn't it? And of here's a New Teen Titans 90 page by Grummett and Alvey in the collection of Ruben the Collector, my interviewee from last Thursday. And this is a Brave and the Bold cover, issue 191 from 1982. Collection of Matt E. again. Artist, of course, is Jim Aparo. This another Brian Ketterer piece. He's got a run going on this week. This is, of course, by Murphy Anderson. It's the Hawkman #4 splash for Satana. I believe Brian has this complete book. You'd have to read the description of the piece. And this is a Black Science #4 cover in the collection of Joshua Tan. Artist, of course, is Matteo Scalera. He does great commissions too. This is in the collection of Paul P. I don't think a week goes by where we don't have something from Paul. This is Hulk Volume 2, number 18 variant cover. Ed McGuinness and Dexter Vines. One hell of a team on Hulk, if you ask me. This is Wolverine. Again, Brian Ketterer. What a role for this guy. And I had to pick it. I mean, there was just no way I could turn down any of these pieces. This, of course, is Todd McFarlane. And a peanut strip, not in the collection of Brian Ketterer. This is in Frank Giela's wonderful collection, of course, by Charles Schultz. This is a strip from 1972. And last but not least, the first time Timothy Guerrero gets a piece in the art update, I believe. It's Felipe Masafera commission lino. All right, so that is what I've got for you on the popular artwork for the week. There was, honestly, I could have probably had at least another 10. There was a lot. It's funny, around Comic Art Live, we always seem to get a lot of updates during that week. You figure people are engaged with adding artwork for sale to their booths, and at that same time, you know, they're scanning artwork, and so what you end up seeing is just a lot of artwork getting added in the week the week or two prior to the show. So even this next what we have coming up for the following report is going to be, I think, even better. So we have to wait a whole week for that. So without further ado, I don't want to keep Melvin waiting in the green room, so I'm going to bring him into the stream. Hey, Melvin.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. Hey, everyone.
Hey, nice to have you on board. Now, you know, Melvin, I didn't tell you this, but in the right-hand column of our chat, there is a comment stream.
I've been reading it. I saw it. So all
right. There you go. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you knew where all that happened. See, and there's Ruben. He starts it off by saying he's shocked that I showed some art. Well, Ruben, you know, you did get a lot of views and a lot of likes and a lot of comments, so that always helps bring it into my array. You know, so anyways, Melvin, you know, it's like I said in the lead up, you're like one of the guys that I've always wanted to chat with. I mean, even, you know, long before I started doing this kind of stuff, there you go, Simon Miller. Melvin has a face.
Yes. And I'm going to look at Simon later too, but anyways.
It's because, you know, you've always been somebody who posts a lot on the Comic Art L. You know, you're active on the CGC forums. I mean, I've just seen you around so much, and so it's funny that, you know, we've really never had a chance to talk before, and I like all your posts. It's like, you know, you kind of like cover everything. You answer people's questions, you promote things that you have for sale. Whenever you have stuff on Comic Link, I don't know if you notice or not, but I actually run those as news items. So I do. Well, maybe, yeah. Well, if you've had any good sales from, you know, through them, it might have been because of me. Because well, that's because you promote them, and you know, if other people did it, other collectors did it, I would be doing it for them too. So I appreciate the fact that you're always putting yourself out there in lots of different ways, and I don't know. If you just look for it when you post on Comic Art L about you know, some auctions ending on Comic Link, check CAF. It's usually, it'll be on there within a few hours.
Okay.
Yep. And anybody else out there, I'll do the same for them. So Melvin, you know, we start every conversation off with just kind of giving a general, you know, overview on how you got started in the hobby. I know that I've read through a bunch of your art descriptions, and I know that what it was, the common thread was you don't have like any favorite, like you could like name like these people are my favorite characters or titles. You just love art, but I want to hear it. I want to hear it from you.
Sure. So I guess my origin on the comic art side, like for comics, I kind of read what interests me. So that's why my comic collection, art collection, is also obviously very varied. But yeah, I started with this website called comiccon.com, like in the late 90s, 97, 98. And I guess from there, I kind of read about this whole concept of original comic art. And that site had like artist booths where you can buy, but I actually didn't end up buying anything there. For my first art, I did buy something there later on, but we have a local con, and one day Tim Sale was a guest, and so yeah, I bought like a Superman for All Seasons page from him and got a sketch, and that's kind of how I got started. And after that, you know, I still did a bit, but I also bought 2 pages from that comiccon.com site, both from Rick Veitch, V-I-T-C-H. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then the funny thing I always like to say is that I bought like 2 stories from Alan Moore by him for the same price of $125. One is from Supreme, one is from Miracle Man. And today, like the Miracle Man is probably worth 10 times the Supreme one, right? But they're both by the same artist, by the same writer. It's just how the hobby works, right? So. Right.
Well, it's all, you know, the more people that like a story or a title or a character, you know, that's going to drive the price up. And Supreme, those are good books. without question. But yeah, I mean, they're not as collectible. I mean,
sure.
the comics aren't, and the art isn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my origin story. So
simple. Well, I think that's the easiest one we've ever had. No, no real backstory. No, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
So I'll be honest. The site that you mentioned, I don't really remember that, but I got started collecting around 98, 99. So
it was there. It was there then.
Huh? Who ran that site?
I don't know who ran it, but I think like Al Gordon had a booth, Chris Cross had a booth, Rick Veitch, Total Bond, a whole bunch of artists had a booth there where you could buy art and like supposedly an online con. The site's still there, but the Comic Con section is gone. It's just a regular comic site now, I guess. But
okay.
Yeah.
No, I wonder. I could probably use like that Wayback Machine to do a search and see what it looked like back then. I just don't remember that. That's strange, but that's pretty cool. I mean, effectively, that's what we were doing on or what we tried to do on Comic Art Fans. With
right.
classified booths and everything, and then through Comic Art Live. So that's interesting. No, I had no idea. Yeah,
okay.
but. Because I think, back then, the only sites I was really familiar with outside of dealer sites were a lot of collector sites. Remember, like Mancuda had a website, and a few other people that I followed had their own websites, but I don't really remember anything really cool like that. That's, well, I'm going to have to do some research and find it. So anyway, when I was looking through your, we've picked some pieces to talk about. All right. And before we even look at those, it was funny because I thought, I know Melvin's got one hell of a collection. I mean, he's got, over 800 pieces on CAF. And I know some of the most important pieces of yours because they're pieces that I kind of go back and look at quite often, like the MCP cover, for instance.
Right.
There's things, and I'm thinking, okay, when Melvin sends me his list, he's going to send me the creme de la creme of what's in his gallery, right? And because that's the norm. But I was really thinking that, and it was funny when you sent me all the pieces. The thing that stood out to me was they were almost like the oldest pieces in your CAF gallery, and I thought, wow, so I'm looking forward to talking about the pieces, and I really wanted to kind of start there. Actually, usually I kind of save that stuff for later.
I figured I would pick not the creme de la creme necessarily, but the one with the kind of best stories. That's kind of why I chose what I chose. So.
All right. Well,
or
then
themes, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah. Well, let's actually start off with someone you've already mentioned.
Okay. Yeah. So this one is obviously the Superman Fall Seasons cover, and this happens to be the cover to the first artwork that I bought. And I guess I chose this one because it kind of speaks to like the collecting and the network and Simon Miller, as I mentioned earlier, right? So basically, I think people have known that was my first original page and my interest in that title. And then one day it was for sale in CAF and the classifieds, and Simon just basically emailed me and said, "Hey, it's for sale. Take a look." Right. So I immediately took a look and bought it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon and I never actually met in person, which is why he said he has a face. But I just emailed with him over the years and got along really well with him, and we help each other out, and ask each other for opinions on art. And that's why I chose it. Just both it ties into my original art and just the whole collector network.
So was that a piece that was like in your want list, or you had let people know about it?
I don't make want lists. That's kind of my thing. Like I know what I like, and I think a want list just kind of forces you to buy things to check something off, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like, I know what I like, I know when I see it, and I saw it, so I bought it, right?
Now, but the first piece you had said was actually just a sketch you got from him, right?
No, I got a
you got a page
and a sketch.
Okay, an interior page from it and a sketch. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, that one, I mean, that is one of my favorite sale covers. So, I mean, that was a very good choice. Now, the next piece was by J.G. Jones.
Okay. So this one is it's about kind of the dumb luck in the hobby and a bit of the hard work. So this one, I think it was Emerald, I guess 06. So, back then, Adam Hughes, as charges a bit too low for his art, and people would rush to his table like first thing in the morning, right? We would line up, outside. So I was in that lineup before the show opened, and everyone would run to his table. And back then lines were less organized. So the line happens to be like where I was in his line. I was in front of JG's table, right? And he was also on my list, but obviously everyone was going for Adam Hughes first, right? So then while I was there, I did love the miniseries. So I signed up for the sketch. I also got the Adam Hughes that con, but this was my favorite from that con, right?
Oh, that's that was very fortuitous then that his table was right there.
Yeah, it was just like the way the line weaved. I just happened to be in front of his table, which I think Allison later like kind of shoved us aside to not block people. Right. But by then I already got on the list, right? So I kind of hit two birds with one stone. So.
No, I remember those days of the mad rush to Adam's table.
Yep.
I mean, it seems like it was always like that from 2002 onward. I was always striking out. The first Adam Hughes I ever got, my wife actually waited in line for me because it was like a Father's Day at Heroes in 05 or something, and I had finally given up, and I was like, I'm going to push the kids around in the stroller today. Why don't you go try it, and maybe it'll change my luck, right?
It did. It worked.
And it did. It actually, I don't know how she pushed her way ahead and got high in the list, and we got a Jean Grey sketch before it was all over. Yeah. But I mean, that's funny because that was kind of like the norm back then, and not just at it. There were always a few people, depending on who was at the show, where there was that mad dash. You always saw the same guys in line. Yeah. John Higashi would always be.
Oh yeah, he was there that day. Yeah. Hawaiian Dave back then. Yeah.
Exactly, and it was So you always saw the same guys, and you could never beat the same. Those guys were always ahead, no matter what time you would get down there. 2-3 hours before the line. The doors would open. Yeah. Nope. You
go there at 6 and you're not first in line. Like, what's going on, right? The earlier you go each time, you're still never first in line. So yeah, I remember those days.
Right. Yeah. All right, let's pull up this next one here.
What's that one? Oh, this one. Okay, yeah. So this one, I'm more of a Batman collector. Yeah, I have quite a few Superman pieces, but this one is more kind of like the adjacent art kind of theme of like everyone loved that series of I did the whole Death of Batman and the whole thing. I've never seen art from that. I think there was an ad art during the Comic Art Live, but this one, I think Comic Art Live, someone posted it for sale, and yeah, I didn't know it existed, but it checked all the boxes, right? It's from Aparo. It's right in the Death of Batman theme. It was pretty good, pretty well priced. So yeah, it's kind of my theme of getting something similar that checks all my boxes that I didn't know existed before.
Mm-hmm. Now, this was trading card art. How large is the actual artwork?
It's pretty small. It's like NF by 11 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I was just looking over So this is Aparo and Giordano.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, this one. Okay. So this story is more how forgiving my wife is. So this one, basically, I bought this. The story is more like how I bought it, because usually the buying story is pretty boring. But I was walking in the park with my wife. I was holding her hand. As we were walking, I got a bit bored and started surfing on eBay on my phone on the other hand, and I saw this for sale as a buy now. And then so I bought it, right? So yeah, it was,
on eBay.
On eBay, it was a buy now. I think 2 weeks before, someone was selling a whole bunch. I want to say Mike Lovett. Someone sold a whole bunch for like. At the time, they were going for like around 1,000, and I guess this person wanted to resell it right away. It was like less than 1,000, so I hit the buy it now, right? And yeah, I was in the park. I remember which park it was, and yeah, I saw it on eBay. It was a good price, so I bought it.
Well, no, this is a beautiful one. It's been great seeing so many Thanos and Infinity pages come out in the last year. I'm not getting bored about it. I've seen a lot on obviously a lot on Comic Link, and I've seen a few on eBay, and I don't know. I think it's really cool, and it's funny how these things kind of go in cycles. I'm sure like there'll be a point in time when we don't see too many of these pages out there. But I've seen things like that before in the hobby, where like you just said, where somebody's dumping a lot of pages and eventually it kind of shakes out a few other things. That seems really common. I mean, I remember when what was it? It was when the Crisis pages, when I think Gary Land and a few other people were just like, another guy who had bought a bunch of stuff had kind of just started releasing them all, and they all were coming on. Do you remember that?
The Comic Town thing, also in the late 90s?
I
vaguely recall Gary Land and someone else bought a big collection.
Right. I think
because I got a page or two from that too.
Nope. I had picked a couple up as well and sold them, but it's stuff like that it always seems to change the course of things, because leading up to that, those pages were really hard to find. Right. And then all of a sudden, when they bought up that collection, then the next thing you know, it's like every week you're getting at least one or two up on eBay or being offered privately and stuff. So no, very common. But I don't remember I don't remember the Affinity pages going up.
That wasn't from there. I bought a Cockrum Nightcrawler page, I think, from that one. I think.
Oh, really?
I think so. I bought something from them during that Comic Town sale or whatever. Yeah.
So one of the, like a Nightcrawler, the limited series, or just something?
Yeah, it's a limited series.
All right. Those that's like one of my favorite Cockrum books. I mean, I love his work on X-Men, but that Nightcrawler limited series.
Oh yeah, I love that too. And I've seen so few pages for sale. Like I don't know where they are, but there's like a handful that I've ever seen. So.
Right. I agree. That would be something that I would actually try for if I ever saw, a decent one. But that was like one of the most fun, off the wall, for the time stories.
Oh
yeah. Well, see, there we go. So now we've got two people who definitely like that story. That's good. Here is this is one that I liked as well.
Okay. So this one. What's the story behind it? I mean, basically, I read Superman by the Sun. I loved it. I had to, at the time, the art I could barely find, right? So I think me and another collector got a contact for the inker, and we shared some pages, Andrew Robinson, and then later on, I got contact for Killian Plunkett, so I bought a bunch of pages. So I guess that let me known as a Superman by the Sun collector, and I guess one day, another collector just approached me to sell this, right? I was at Emerald Con for something else, and he approached me online on an email, and I kind of thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I got to go for it, right? So yeah, I was pretty lucky. I mean, it's pretty iconic, and I'm pretty happy with it. So
yeah, you seem to have a lot of collectors watching your back for you. It sounds like
This guy was. I don't think he was watching my back. I think he just wanted to liquidate and thought of me. I guess because I was a known collector for that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, that happens a lot. People offering up artwork to people on CAF when they know you have a bunch of it. Sometimes you don't mind getting those emails, and other times, they can be, something unwanted. But I mean, because I get them a lot too. It's like if I have a certain couple pieces by an artist, you'll get random emails from people. But that's cool. I mean, one of the great, I got an email from somebody actually after Comic Art Live, not to bring that up again, but it was a similar thing where somebody knew that this guy was looking for a page from something. And I think they had the wrong, like he was looking for something from issue 27 from a series. And the page was from issue 26 that was in Comic Art Live. And he said he got like 5 emails from friends who saw the piece and, let them know it. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the hobby is just the idea that, your friends do tend to have your back if they know you're looking for certain things.
They do. Yeah.
Now this was an interesting choice.
This one is just a very long story with lots of coincidences. It's actually on my CAF if you read the whole story. So this started 08, something like that. I basically first bought the Jean Grey half of it. It was a buy now on eBay again. It was like $100, which is cheap for that at the time. And when I bought it, I didn't know it was part of a DPS, right? So I bought it, and I got it. Oh, it's a DPS. And then a few years later, the full DPS was being sold at Heritage, which kind of perplexed me. And I found out that I guess McLeod did some sort of craft tint experiment. So mine was an actual original Dale Peon pencils, but I guess he photocopied it and then published it using from the Xerox and the craft tint. So that's that. But then, like 5 years later, someone left a comment on CAF for that piece saying, "Oh, he has the other half is looking to sell it," right? And he gave me his Facebook address. So I went to Facebook, I messaged him, never heard back. I assumed he went to his other message window or whatever. So I couldn't get a hold of him, and I was like, "How do I get a hold of him?" And I thought to reply to the comment in Comic Art Fans, and I guess that went to his email. And so I bought it, and the one that I bought was actually uninked, which is fine. And then 3 years after that, McLeod was a local con that kind of showed him the page to have him sign it, and he offered to ink it. And I go, sure, why not? And then, so after I guess 10 plus years of different steps, I had the complete DPS, right?
See, now I regret not reading that. Now I wondered why, because when I was browsing through the gallery, I saw you had the DPS that we were going to show just now, but then I saw the single page, and I thought, well, that's weird. Maybe there was a reason why he had it. Maybe it's a detail, bigger scan or something like that. So you actually got the other piece from Bob?
No, it wasn't Bob. It was some other collector that
it was a different collector.
Yeah, saw my CAF and then put a comment, and I couldn't get a hold because he didn't have an account. I guess he must have set up an account to put the comment, but he gave me his Facebook page, and I went over there and messaged him and never heard back because I guess he went to his Facebook spam folder or whatever. And then I replied to his comment on CAF, and I guess that must have went to his email, and he replied, and that's how we came to a deal.
Got it. I thought in a weird way it might have been Bob because Bob's had an account on CAF forever, and He shows his artwork there sometimes. So I thought maybe he was the one who actually.
No, it wasn't him. And I never found out why it was split up. I asked Dale and asked Bob, like, why would you split up a DPS? And no one told me. But I guess they must have sold it separately, I guess, right? I don't know what happened.
Right. Yeah, that is peculiar. All right. So let's see. I saw a couple posts here from Rich. He said he's got one of your he got one of his favorite Michael Golden pieces from Malvin, the vintage Vision and Scarlet Witch sketch.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and let's see. He says one day we can reunite the Adam Hughes G.I. Joe.
Oh, that one. I have the color guide, and he has the original, I think, pen and ink version of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, people don't. That's one thing we've never really talked. So, I assume you probably only pick up color guides very rarely, right? I mean,
yeah, I only picked it up because A, I collect Scarlet, that's color, and B was Adam Hughes, right? Normally, I wouldn't collect color guides, and that one happened to be colored by Adam Hughes, so I picked it up. So yeah, and I guess we bought it separately. We didn't split up like a single set. We just he got his, and then I got mine, and we realized that we each had different parts of it, right? Exactly.
No, I actually only own one color guide, and I can't remember which issue of X-Men it is. It's like X-Men 113. It's the Trial of Colossus. Where he's holding that it was given to me as a gift, and of course the person who owns the page has said if I ever let it go, it's got to go. He's like, I want it because it is. I mean, I get it. It would be very cool to have both of those pieces together.
So did you buy it together, or he knew the other half and he wanted first dibs?
Well, no, I someone actually gave it to me.
Okay.
It was one of the few art gifts I've ever gotten in my life. Someone just said, this was like 15 years ago. So probably it's actually might be worth a little bit now. Back then it was probably worth $5. And they just said, hey, I just found this. I didn't know I had it. I thought you might like it. And they gave it to me. And so no, the original owner contacted me like 10 years after I had it in my CAF gallery.
Oh, okay.
But it just goes to show you there's, for early pieces like that where they're actually using real color guides, a lot of collectors do want to have both pieces.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, and we had seen I've seen a few people frame their stuff that way too. They'll put rather than like the published page, they'll put like the pen and ink.
Right.
Now let's see. I wanted to. Where was that other comment? Glad to see. Let's see. What was this? Rich is talkative tonight.
I think I know what he's talking about. I don't think I bought it from him, but that was another eBay buy. It was the color Walt Simonson Thor sketch that I have in my gallery. I don't think I bought it from Rich. I'm pretty sure I didn't. So it must have gone through a couple other hands. But yeah.
Well, I mean, such is the hobby, right? I mean, if you've been in it for 20 years, I see. It's always funny for me. I mean, I haven't owned a lot. In my lifetime, I probably owned maybe 400 or 500 pieces, but I've sold 3/4 of that, and it's always funny when you see a piece come up and you're just like, oh, I had that 10 years ago. It's funny how that goes around. One of the things I did want to ask you about Comic Art Live, in one way, because you have exhibited at both shows, and I've actually not talked to anybody specifically about their experience as an exhibitor. Okay. And I know you were a buyer, I think both times too. But in both shows, I mean, what would be the things that went better this time around versus the last one for you? I
think the second art drop helped because obviously that generated interest and additional traffic. I think the first time, I think I had less sales on Sunday, obviously. So I think the one big thing was the second art drop day helped. For me, I think 48 was too many, but that's just me. Obviously, as a buyer, when I was glancing through, I didn't complain about too many art, but certainly I didn't fill all 48, and most people didn't, right?
No. So, okay. I mean, because I've been thinking that 48 was too much as well. Yeah. I was almost thinking, at the very least, drop it to 18 per day, if not maybe 16 per day. I mean, coming up with something because at the end of the day, the one thing that I felt was that it's a very collector-dominated show for sales. More collector booths than anything else, and really, how many collectors are going to have 48 pieces twice in a year that they might want to market? That would be new, right? If we're going to keep the show exciting and new, that's it's far too many pieces to have. I think. I mean, so 16 might be more of a sweet spot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
okay.
I think for Sunday, I put stuff that I wasn't really super keen on selling, but I figured I'll just put it at a certain price. If it sells, nice. If it doesn't matter. Because I had the spots, right? Because you had the slots there. So.
Right. Sorry, Ruben saying you haven't owned a lot for, but I don't know. Well, I can compare myself to Ruben, or I can compare myself to Melvin. I mean, even Rich is, I feel like I'm still a noob in the hobby after 20 years because I've just, I've seen a lot, I've had the luxury of getting to handle a lot of artwork, but not artwork that I got to own. So, that's just how it goes. I mean, being friends with a lot of art dealers and hanging out at San Diego and helping set up, I've worked with Mark Hay for a long time doing things. So got to see a lot of great artwork and handle it, but not own it. So that's just how it goes. And I should just say, I did make myself,
hey,
that's my keepsake. I've decided like every show I was going to make myself a shirt. So I'd have something to remember.
It doesn't have the color scheme of the logo, I guess.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and I get asked a lot about like CAF t-shirts and everything, and this is like another perfect example. I can't get a print-on-demand service to actually print things in a straight line. Like even on this, it's canted. Well, it's canted that way, and it's silly, but it made me. I looked at it and I thought, if I was ever going to do any kind of like logo t-shirts, I'm going to just have to make the logo round. Because it's the only way they're not going to screw it up.
Okay.
Because I have a CAF. I've got 5 test printed, right, just with the CAF logo on it, and every one of them was at an angle. I mean, noticeably. At first I'm thinking, am I slouching or what? No, and then I actually took it off. I laid it flat, got the ruler out, and they were all wrong.
Cool.
So round logos is the way to go in the future. But that's good to know. That's very good to know. And
and was this supposed to be a survey as a attendee too? Because I got one for the exhibitor. I guess that you either get one or the other, not both.
Well, no, you should get. Well, the thing is, I don't know, because we don't really have attendee tickets.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
What I did today in the Thursday email, if you haven't gotten it or read it yet, there's a link in the copy where it actually says, if you attended the show, click this to fill out.
Okay. Because I got an email as an exhibitor, so I answered that survey. I didn't notice the link on the other one. So
yeah, I was thinking about that. Like when I do the next show, somehow I'll have to check when people actually, they have to be logged into CAF. Well, not everybody goes to the show has to be logged into CAF, but they want to use it. But I should try to at least confirm who went, and then just email all those people directly versus anonymously trying to get them to see my links in my daily mail or whatnot. See, I didn't even think about that. Again, I'm learning as I go.
Yeah, and it's been working out great. So
yeah, definitely. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm just reading. Rich Surreal says, I'm like the security guy at the strip club. Sees a lot, but doesn't bring it home. Very true. And Rich swears he's sold you that. So
he probably did. I'm sure he's right. So.
So Melvin, where exactly are you based? Because you said that you went to like a local show when you were talking about
Vancouver. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So
okay, I had a feeling that you were north of the border.
Yeah. We didn't know it was Canadian. Okay,
no. Well, I feel like I have read that, but I was never really sure. Okay. So what shows do you come to?
Just Emerald actually. So the only show I did regularly before I had a young kid was Emerald, and then San Diego I went to twice. There's a couple other shows here and there that I was there for other reasons I went to, but pretty much that was the only one. And I guess now Vancouver has a big show too with Fan Expo. So those were the two that I went to. Yeah.
Okay, so you've never gone to New York Comic Con or Heroes or any? Okay.
No.
Well, then the fact that you've bought most of your work online, and not in person at shows, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And it helps to have, once again, friends, because basically all my purchases go to Brian Peck just to keep things simple. I don't talk about the customs and the border. He just goes to him and he batches it and sends to me every, whenever it piles up, right? So. Brian
is a good friend.
Yes, he's a great guy.
Yeah, no, he's he was one of the early group of people I interviewed the summer before last.
Yeah, I remember that.
First started giving it a try, but I've known Brian for a long time. He was a volunteer at Big Wow when
Oh, okay.
when I owned that with Morger and Cho and whatnot. And he was always he ran like all the volunteers, and he did a bunch of other stuff. I mean, he ran panels. He always set up the comic art.
Well, I heard about that. Comic art collecting panels.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was fun. I mean, you know, so he was always trying to organize people early on in the hobby, and I always appreciated that because, you know, back then it was like I looked at it, I was like, these are, you know, we're never going to go anywhere. But he always drew a crowd. We always had a full room, and he always put on a good show. And he even did that. I think he did it once at San Diego too.
Okay, yeah, I think you mentioned that. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So, you know, like I kind of mentioned when I in my write-up, I was like, I wanted to show a few pieces from your gallery, just because, you know, I liked everything you had, but I was like, you know, I'll tell you, and I don't know how everybody else looks at CAF galleries. I mean, they probably obviously you go into it through the front door of the gallery, but I tend to always like to go and scroll to the bottom and then hit things like the most viewed and most commented.
Oh, okay.
Because
I don't do that. Okay.
Especially when somebody has a lot of art, because that helps me like see, you know, what other pieces people really found interesting enough to leave a lot of comments on, or in some cases, you know, just heavily viewed and not a lot of comments. But this is so I pulled up. I've got a kind of like your page filled up with the most views here. So I've got to share my screen.
All right. Let's see what the stories are in those.
So this is looking at the most viewed stuff. So you know, this is Gary Frank, of course.
Yeah.
And you know, beautiful piece. You know, how have you had it for a while? Because for it to have as many views as it does, I was just.
I think what's the year? I think 08. That was a San Diego purchase. That I had to cut that from my list to show to you. But yeah, I remember that one with San Diego. I went to San Diego twice. So that was the 08 trip. And then, you know, I was looking for Gary Frank, and then I had a hard time finding him. Someone, you know, I kept being heard, oh, he's over there. And then eventually I found him, and then looked at his portfolio, and he had that piece. And you know, the funny thing was, at the time, another collector, Alex Chun, approached me, and he said, well, I was going to ask you if you could buy anything good at the show. And at the time, I was paying for that piece, right? Mm-hmm. So he said, oh, yeah, it looks like you did buy something good, right? So yeah, I was like, it's one of those things that you know, I just saw and go, yeah, I got to have this, right? This is so stunning.
No, I mean, I love his work. I mean, that's a phenomenal piece and deserving of all the views it's got. I think it's even had 40 comments. It might be one of your top comment pieces as well.
It was. This one, yes.
I had to, you know,
for sure.
The MCP has been, you know, there's a really big piece in the Comic Link auction that's out there right now. But, you know, and I remember we saw a piece come up recently from Nick. Oh
yeah.
You know, which I thought was pretty cool. But then you know, I see this and it's like, man, this is such a great piece.
So there's this. Obviously, I read the comic and I liked it. And I guess the first part of the story is not really related to this, but you know, for the longest time in this hobby, I had this like mental block to spending over a certain dollar amount, right? You know, it was $500 at one point, and it just felt bad. You know, I just couldn't do it. And I remember one time I was surfing through eBay, and someone listed a whole bunch of interior pages for $1,500. Buy it now, and I saw them go one at a time, just getting bought, right? Mm-hmm. And later on, I heard stories like, you know, someone bought two and sold it for $10,000 because clearly they were worth way more than that. At the time, you kind of tune out what things are worth. So that was kind of one of my lessons where, you know, it kind of broke that barrier. And then in my mind, if you're getting a good price, I could mentally overcome that hurdle, right? So this piece was actually on eBay, and I mean, I think people know the number from back then. So it was about now for $15K. And at the time, it's probably worth like 20, 25. And I saw it in the morning, and I kind of said, oh, 15K is a lot, right? And I kind of didn't buy it. And I think eBay had a problem that day, and I guess the whole day, so many people saw it, and they couldn't buy it. And when I got home at the end of work, Simon Miller again emailed me saying, oh, you should buy this. This is such a good deal. And so I bought it, right? You know, buy now, way back when, 2008? No, after that, 2011? Whatever the year of that.
It was posted 2014.
Okay, that's when it was.
So Simon's like an enabler, it sounds like. He's the...
I don't know. A couple of times he's pointed stuff up to me that was like, yeah, you got to look at this, right? So yeah.
No, well, that's it's worth quite a bit more than $15,000 now, I'd say.
Well, at the time it was worth probably 20, 25, and now it's I got locked out and it's worth, you know,
Oh, heck yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised, but yeah, eBay's had problems like that every now and again. And I've heard people luck out or get skunked because of issues, on their platform many times. But so was the seller just selling this one cover, or were they actually?
Yeah. So, we all ask about what else they have. I did ask.
Yeah.
He had others and he wasn't selling them at the time. So, and I've been talking to him since, obviously. So it sounds like he had a whole bunch, and then I see Simon. Hey, thanks again, Simon. So it sounds like he had other pieces, but he just sold that one. So,
no, I mean that is like the kind of, that's why I asked, because I think everybody always asks when you see somebody, especially on eBay. It's always fun. Or it's interesting when you see those eBay seller shops, where people just drop off things to have
yeah.
And because that happens a lot, and I can't imagine that anyone buying from one of those places is that's not the first question they ask, even before the auction's over, is do you have more, and are you listing it soon, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually got a couple windows open here. I'll just try to see if I can drag that over there.
Okay, so this
I
one
really
also,
like this piece. Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah. So this one almost made my list for today. I guess we're talking about it anyway. So this one, once again, it's kind of like I think it's called the Albert Moy rule, where if you miss out on something, there's something else around the corner. So
that is Albert's rule. Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think I heard it from someone else. But anyway, so that weekend or the week before that, or sometime, this was on eBay, and during the time this was at auction, there was a Mike Zeck Punisher cover at Heritage. I painted one for the magazine, a reprint of. Sorry, it was a painted for the Punisher magazine, which was a reprint of the first issue in black and white. Anyways, So that was the first. That was actually my exposure to Zeck, and I loved that cover. And at the time, I had the whole mental barrier thing, so I decided that I would go up to $10,000 for it, which is for me at the time quite a bit. And on eBay or Heritage, that one went for like 15. I think I was unbid or 14, which is way beyond my budget, and so I lost out. And so because I lost out, I had that $10,000 set aside. So I kind of put the snipe on this piece, and I ended up winning it. And it turns out that Felix was the underbidder, and I think he cost me like a couple of grand, because I think the next bidder below that was $2,000 less. So,
well, I can see that. Felix has one hell of a collection himself, so I could see him going after a piece like this. And the thing is, that's the one thing I've learned collecting, over the years is. Sometimes you just have to go after those really good pieces, and it's nice to have quantity, but at the end of the day, quality kind of trumps that. And so pieces like that. But now, so speaking of that, I'm going to show this next piece too, because this is a piece that we actually featured on CAF over 4 years ago.
Okay, so this one. Okay.
Now, let's see if I can get that a little larger. I mean, this is, I'm just blown away by this piece. I love Punisher War Journal, and to see a DPS with this much detail is, I'm kind of speechless. But this is one of the pieces that I wanted you to tell me about.
No, I just love that series, and it was for sale, so I kind of pulled out all the stops to kind of get it, right? That's the short version. I sold a whole bunch of stuff, and then I really wanted it because I have a bunch of other pages in that series. Because I remember back then, the comic collecting days, that was a big deal, right? At least for me, I bought like 5 copies of the 2 issues and whatever. So.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And this one, I didn't really know you were into Preacher, but.
Oh, so that's another eBay buy it now story.
Okay.
It was late at night. I was surfing eBay, and then there was that and the other 2. Buy now for like pretty reasonable prices, like $1,000 back then or something like that. And then I just bought them. This one and then 2 other ones at $500 each or something. So yeah, I read it and then I enjoyed it. I wasn't like out there chasing the art, but yeah, when I saw it, I kind of knew it was a pretty good deal, so I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, Preacher pages are not cheap anymore. So this is so rare to see something like this, and this is a beautiful piece, and this is another piece. I mean, the reason I wanted to bring it up because it was another featured piece. You can see I highlighted it, June 2012. So yeah, no. So you've got really good taste, Melvin. Let's see.
And I'd like to say, I also have a very understanding wife, so that's me buy all this stuff. So.
No, it does pay to have one of those.
Yeah,
sure. Here, I wanted to show this one too. And I showed a piece, obviously, in the featured stuff by McGinnis and Vines, and as a combination, those guys, are great, and I really like this piece.
Yeah, that one I think I just bought. It was for sale. I think someone had a list for sale on Comic RL, and I just went through his list and picked this out. I think that was a short version. And then at the time, it was around the same time that he was doing that Batman Superman series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they both were. Yeah, it was both McGinnis and Vine doing it. So.
Yeah, no, Dexter's. I liked Dexter as an inker. I've really appreciated his stuff. I know he's inked some X-Men books that I picked up some pieces from him. This was one here I wanted to. To me, this is like it's so different than so many other pieces in your collection. As a Grell piece.
So this one is a bit of a story. This almost made my list again. So, around the time I finished, what year was that? I think here. Yeah, so I started collecting in '98, and then I went to grad school, and I came out, and I wasn't working, and then when I started working again, so, I should buy a nice piece of art to treat myself, and then someone had a whole bunch of covers, right? And at the time, his price was like ridiculous for 2003, 2004. Right? It was a lot, and I guess 5 years later, I was itching for it again and trying to find out where he was, but I couldn't find him. But I happened to have bought a prelim of this cover. It was on my CAF, and he contacted me again to offer it for sale, right? And I kind of said, "Oh, you know what? Let's talk." And then the price was still the same, but it was 5 years later. So at the time, I guess the market kind of caught up and it was more reasonable. So I kind of went for it.
Oh, that's a nice one. Now, I don't know if this is the piece that Rich was talking about.
Yeah, that must be. Does it say to Rich or something? I might have. Because that's the only Simonson Thor, so that must be the one he's talking about.
Oh, there you go. Then that must be the one.
Yeah.
Oh, and well, from that last one, you got the best of the Longbow covers.
I actually like issue 1 better, but that one wasn't available.
And here was something I wasn't familiar with, but I like the page, so I was wondering if you could tell me about it.
Yeah, so I actually haven't read the comic, but I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but Ryoko Ikegami, I knew him from Crying Freeman and what's the other one called? Sanctuary. So, those were the Viz translated comics. I read them, and then yeah, I just through, once again, the collecting hobby, someone had some pages. It wasn't those series, I think Lost Impossible. Someone had this other series, and it's very distinctive. Like if you read the comics, you kind of know his kind of style. So that was his, and so I bought it. Right, that's kind of the short version. But yeah, I've never seen manga art out there, so I was glad to get this.
Right. Well, that's why I was kind of curious, because you don't see any manga art out, and I was just surprised to see it in your collection, because it's so rare to see anything like that on CAF to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, where did you find it again?
I think it was just some guy on Comic RL way back that had it for sale that I talked to. So it wasn't eBay, but I think that was how I first contacted him. We started talking, and he had that. So.
Okay. And not to hit on another Simonson piece, but you don't see too many. Obviously there aren't a lot of finished pieces like this out there. I mean, was this from some kind of a charity auction, or? I
think originally I actually bought from Comic Link whenever I posted it on CAF. So yeah, I think I saw it for sale before. It must have been for some sort of charity, because that's what Walt does, right? But then it got on Comic Link, so I went for it when it was there.
Very cool. Yeah, the highlight of the show last weekend for me was getting to spend just a few minutes chatting with Walt in the green room.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah, I saw the interview, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I did. Well, obviously Scott Dunveer did the interview with him, but but I got to kind of talk with him ahead of it and at the end of it, and it was fun. I don't get to. He's somebody who I've actually gotten sketches from many times in the past, but I've never chatted with him before.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. He friended me on Facebook after that. That made my afternoon.
Now, was it his personal account or his official art account? Anyways, but yeah.
It was the personal account.
Okay.
Yeah. That was neat. But I mean, we had because we had to have a bunch of emails leading up to it just to kind of figure out what art we were going to show during the panel, right. And So yeah, that was pretty neat. I hope when we do more of we can do more of that in the future. You know, I've talked with Scott about it, and he's thinking he might like to do like at least one interview with like a really, you know, somebody who's really close with every month and put it on the channel. And yeah, he has like a long list of people he'd like.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I told him, you know, I'm like, whoever you want to do, whenever you want to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll be there to watch. Yes,
yeah.
exactly. I'm like, I'll be your producer. Just tell me what you want to do. I'll run the show in the background. Let's see. I was like, you know, there's, I mean, Malvin, I could look at your, you know, pull up artwork from your collection all evening because there's just so many nice pieces. I'm not going to pull up anymore because I'm sure people are kind of getting bored, but with that, but I want to, you know, no, I won't do it. There was the Bisley Lobo piece I really like too, but that's the, you know, what we should tell. Well,
the poster or the splash? The splash.
Okay. All right, I'll show it. Just so this is the last piece I wanted to talk, or, you know, just go have a look at because I really like, you know, this period in his work I really liked, and this is just a, you know, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think yeah, I remember his name. Someone approached me to sell this because I had some other busy little pieces.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I made him an offer, and it happened to be, well, I might as well say the number. Anyways, it was like my 40th birthday was the 30th birthday. Whatever it was, I kind of offered around that amount, and then basically we kind of rounded it to match my birthday, and it happened to be my birthday too that day. So like that, my age in hundreds happens to be how much I paid for it. And he happened to approach me close to my birthday, so that was my own birthday big treat that year. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it worked out.
I'll pull this out of here. But no. See, I knew that's why when I was going through your collection before you sent me the images, I'm like, man, I'm expecting to see all of this crazy stuff, and that's why I was like, all right, we're gonna talk about different things in your collection. So I mean, from where you're at now, I mean, how has your collecting slowed down at all during?
I think so. I mean, I haven't read comics in the last 5 years, so certainly the newer artists, I just have like near zero interest. I mean, and then I mean, I still look at eBay and I still look at all the auctions. I just kind of find that there's just less things that interest me. And as well, you know, as prices go up, if I already have an example, I don't need to pay the latest price for it, right? So you know,
right.
Yeah.
No. Well, you know, for the things that you pretty much have a top tier example for most of the niches that you're in. Yeah. It seems like to me. I mean, unless you know, so you know, I don't think you have any holes in your collection at all. But that's good though. You know, I mean, it's funny because you know most people there's always things that they're chasing. But right when I looked at your collection, that was like the first thing I felt was like, man, he has just got a good representative piece from everything I think that that you've collected. And I like the way you organize your galleries too, by titles, mostly kind of by theme. Some people do things really kind of crazy in their CAF galleries, but yours was like really easy and organized, which I appreciated.
I think it helped that some people, especially later on when you can click on the artist name to show everyone from the artist in the gallery, because before that, that wasn't available, I recall. And then some people organize the galleries that way, and I'm like, well, that's a waste now, right? There's no point doing that today. I guess in the earlier days of CAF, maybe, right?
Exactly. No, I regret not having that as a feature from the start, because we'd probably see things organized a lot differently today than because you still see people with their organizing things by artists, and unfortunately it's like doubled up because of that, because of what we did. But yeah, I mean, live and learn. I mean, I wouldn't blame anybody for not going back and reorganizing their CAF gallery, because it should have been there to begin with, and that would be a major undertaking.
The best feature that it's on my list or to mention to you is a better way to resort the galleries. The whole number thing is just a little clunky.
Oh, you mean in Comic Art Live?
In just your regular, how they have the number and you renumber it.
Is it still? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, it's order. Yeah,
we never moved. Well, you'd want to have it like the way the featured stuff works, right? Where because the featured gallery one, you can drag and drop, move stuff around. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Well, I can tell you why we didn't do it. Was I think we looked at a couple guys who had like 600 pieces in a single gallery room.
Oh, okay.
And we thought, I wonder, I don't know. I think we might have ran a test. Like what will this drag and drop interface do when there's 600 images in a long scroll page? And I think we tried it, and it just kept bombing.
Crashing your server, right? I'm sure.
Well, it wasn't crashing. I think it was crashing the page, and but maybe that, but now that you mention it though, I could probably put a check in there. Like if there's less than 50 pieces, allow them to have the cooler, simpler drag and drop. And when it's over 50 pieces, sorry, you've got to number them or like one of the things.
Yeah, the current number thing works. It's just, because you want to see where it's at. And also, it's just hard to figure out how to number them, right? Like, it's just hard to figure out.
Well, yeah, exactly. And again, the longer the list gets, the harder it gets. And again, but I know that we tested it, because that's why it's easy to do on the featured stuff, because, it's, what is it, 12 pieces for premium members and 6 for not. So it's simple, and it's all on one screen no matter what. So you can see what you're doing, and you know exactly what it's going to look like. But yes, I think we got another vote from Sean Lackey saying drag and drop. Yep.
All right.
I hear you. That is a big complaint, and I can tell you that as soon as I get caught up on my emails and a couple other things, we've been doing so much site design outside of CAF lately. When I did the IX thing, and I did another con over the summer which was called Mainframe. It was a virtual show. So I've been doing all this website design that's all mobile friendly, and I've gotten really good at it. Or good, I'll never be great, but I know what I'm doing now. And so my first project is going to be to finally redesign CAF and get it mobile friendly. It would be cool if I can get it done by the end of this year. I mean, it's still a big project, but that's high on the list. And so probably when we do that, though, I might be able to incorporate that change, the ordering change inside of a gallery room. Just depends on. I know I have to get the front end done first, and then the admin I might do second, but. Because Google likes mobile-friendly sites now, so I think I'm finally in a spot where, like, my traffic's always the same, but when I do my keyword searches, I'm not always number one on everything that I was always number one on in the past. And I know, and the only reason is because Google is starting to like drop you in their lists if you're not mobile friendly.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes it'll be like, like there's keyword searches where like Comic Link will pop ahead of me on like maybe a particular artist, you might, if you typed in, Jim Starlin comic art or something like that. And I'm using them as an example, but you'll see stuff like that. And I'm like, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be the way. But, I remember reading in September, there was like a cutoff date in September where Google was finally going to penalize sites when they weren't mobile friendly.
Oh, okay.
So even if I am the authority, they're like, you're a bad user experience, pal. We're not going to keep you where you're at. So it hasn't hurt me in any way, traffic wise. But I don't know. I'd like to still appear to be the authority, because I think at the end of the day we are. But yeah, so that's why it's high on my list. If I could get it done by the first of the year, that would be pretty cool.
Okay.
But I am always, when I'm doing it, I always need beta testers, Melvin. So,
Sure. Let me know if I can.
All right. Because I am going to make like a development site and then work off of that. And I figured I need like at least a dozen, heavy users of CAF to just try to break it, look at it and give me suggestions on how to make it better. The hardest part is just coming up with to me, it's like once I get the header figured out as far as how to make it the way I want to do mobile friendly, everything kind of will flow from that. So maybe within about 3 weeks, I'll get you and a few other people on an email list, and we'll just kind of look at things and work through it. So I definitely, I know I'm going to need the help. This is one thing I don't want to work in a bubble on. Like I tend to,
for sure. You want to do that. You want to be right here, so.
Absolutely, because this is going to be such a big undertaking. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it again in a year. I want to get it right. I want to have a general consensus that I got it right when I roll it out, and then I can not worry about it for 3 or 4 more years or something. So, let's see. I didn't see any other major.
Yeah, no other comments there.
Yeah, no. But lots of bravos. Yeah, from people with your collection. Admin pin. No, Sean.
Sean is one of the regular chatters. So it's another guy that I know from the hobby that I chat with online, but never met in person. We had a couple calls once, but yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'm not quite sure what Sean's asking for there, but Sean, you're more than welcome to email me any of your thoughts. I'm always open to suggest admin page add existing art to the.
I think talking about that feature, you have to kind of link it to a published issue and page.
Is that what is that the reference?
I think so. I guess he doesn't want to do it page by page, but just some sort of.
Oh, I see. Like maybe you can do like a mass.
Yeah, mass
assignment?
linking. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that would be a little complicated, but I'm sure I could figure that out. I do see what you're saying, especially if you collect if you're collecting pieces from the same book.
Yeah.
There would definitely be a benefit, like check off the 5 pieces, do the search, and then all 5 pieces. Oh, all right, see, we got
there you go.
all right. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like live and learn. You do things and then you don't know how they're going to get used, and then all of a sudden you realize there's 10 different ways you could have done it, and they all would have been better than the way you did it. So yeah, no, that makes sense. And I was actually, we build a lot of dealer websites too, and one of the dealers that I was recently speaking with that wanted us to do the work, they were hesitant because in their current setup they have like a lot of mass update screens. Like they can go into a room for a particular artist and and maybe just mass update the price for
10% off or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Right, and do it all from one screen versus having to go into one. And I get it. And we've been building dealer sites for over 15 years, and that's not something I ever built into it. So and it's funny, and you figure I'm working with 25 dealers, and not one of them have ever suggested that. And then I get it from a guy who because they had another developer who made that.
Who thinks differently, right?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, I wonder why Albert never asked me for that. Because Albert, because he has a lot of stuff that he probably needs to fudge prices on now and again. Berkey would be the same way. I mean, anybody who's got a lot of Anthony. I mean, gosh,
yeah, he has a lot of stuff.
I can't imagine how he hasn't requested that as a feature yet. But again, that's yeah.
But wait, you worked with 25 comic art dealer websites? I can't even think of 25 comic art dealers. There must be if I really sit down, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I look at my FTP, I could tell you all the people we've worked with. Albert, Anthony, Art Droids, Big Wow, Brit Comics Art. Where's the list? Comic Art House, Comic Art Page. Comic Book Art Gallery, Comic Con Art, Dave Carlin, the Donnellys, of course, the Cool Lines. I did Fanfare site, but of course he's retired. Right. Felix, Got Superpowers, Simon, of course. Radio Simon. Graphic Collectibles, IX Gallery. We host they have an online sales site as well. Joe Chiodo's site I've done. Jesco. Yeah, they call artists, I guess. Yeah, because I couldn't think of actual just dealers. But even Quan's site, Pete Koch. I mean, I'm just I did Nick Catratis' site, panel page for Glenn, Gary's site, RGL Art, Romita Man, Scott Eater, Splash Page Art, Tatiana's site for TD Art Gallery. So yeah. So a lot. I mean, trust me, over the years, it's like there's been it's worked out good. That's how we've been able to kind of like share all the data that we had, was just because I've worked with all of these guys. And I've got another site in the queue right now for somebody who's in the Philippines. They're going to be representing a lot of Philippine artists, and that's pretty cool. I mean, I knew about half of the artists that they rep, but I don't know. I think that site should be launched in the next couple of weeks, and then yeah. But the one dealer that I was talking with that is on the fence is a very large dealer, and I really want to work with them because having their data live would be pretty a feather in my cap, and it would make
collectors' lives easier.
Absolutely, and that was the only reason we started building them, was because I felt like this is you remember how a lot of dealer sites were back in 2003.
No scans. The days of running your comic book flipping pages, trying to figure out which page is 15 without art, without ads, with ads.
Right. And right. I mean, how many dealer had had sites on GeoCities or sites like that, and you'd get an update and you'd go over to their site and it would say their bandwidth has been used up. Come back 4 hours later. Right? Do you remember those days?
Yeah.
It was horrible. And did you how often do you actually remember to go back 4 hours later? Never. I mean, I would always forget. And you know what? By the time you would remember to go back, whatever they were promoting that they were selling was gone. So it was an absolute miserable experience. And yeah, when I was so happy when the first couple of dealers came to me, because I wasn't pushing it. They came to me and said, "Hey, would you help me out?"
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And that was actually how I built up most of my art collection early on, because I didn't.
Oh, okay. You got paid in art?
I got paid in art, and what better, but I mean, it was great. And at the time I didn't need money, because I was doing internet consulting,
right.
And at that time was my main business. And so CAF was fun, and dealers were coming to me and needing work, and trade was just, I mean, it was great for me,
right.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I don't do it for trade anymore. So no, now I need money more than anything. Yeah. Because we were, times were tough. I mean, I was actually, honestly, God, at the begining of this year, I was looking for a job. So,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Because, well, it was, it wasn't terrible, but I started thinking, like, once you hit like 52, I'm thinking, it's either I really, should I take my talents and work for somebody else? And then,
right.
And fortunately, things, I'd done a couple of interviews with people, and then COVID happened, and it wasn't, so the jobs that I interviewed for didn't really pan out, and I didn't really want them. And then COVID just re-inspired me, just with being out to try to help everybody and everything. And
yeah, I'm hearing so some dealers even tell me the sales are the best they've ever been because of COVID, right? Like it's like he's saying I've never been this busy in 30 years or whatever, right? So
right. Yeah. I think it's been amazing, and it's certain because I can tell just from the amount of bandwidth traffic from all the dealers that we host in CAF has gone up dramatically. Beginning in March. Well, everybody's home and they're spending more time online too, but when you don't have the cons anymore to spend your money
exactly.
Now that everybody's spending it online, I mean, it seems like Heritage has added an extra auction here or there to kind of fill in the gaps, and I don't think Comic Link's really changed theirs, but you're seeing it. I mean, everybody's really just pushing online as heavily as they can. So, and Sean asked, classic or new Filipino artists? It looks like a mix, Sean. Some of the artists are very well established, and some, like I said, some of them I hadn't heard of their names before. So I think that I think that was great. I mean, I was really happy when I talked with them about it, and we haven't really done a lot of international sites. I mean, the only other I've done 2 sites outside the U.S., and that was for Joseph Melchior from Brit Comics Art, and
Ruben?
Art Droids. What's that?
Oh, Art Droids. Okay.
Yeah, Rufus Dayglow. Right. I don't know why I can't remember that name, because that's a name you should never forget, right? But yeah, I love Rufus. I don't know. I love British art. I don't own any because I can't afford much of it. But I always I'd love to get some classic Doctor Who pages or something.
Right.
So with some Daleks on it, and maybe a 2000 AD page here or there. But I've never read any of it. I tried. A friend of mine bought me a trade paperback. He's like, "You have to read this. You're gonna love this." And I just can't get into it. I want to.
Right. But you actually tried to read it and couldn't get through it. You never had time to read it.
No, I read through. I actually read through it, the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
And he said this was like a primer. You start here. This would be the good first place to start. And and I read. I don't know. I like it, but I just couldn't. I don't know.
Yes. It
wasn't for me, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, what about you? I don't remember. You had a couple Ballin?
Yeah, I had a Ballin cover.
Ballin cover, right?
Actually, a Ballin Judge Dredd is still kind of on my list. That cover, it is a Judge Dredd cover, except it's not Judge Dredd, right? So
right.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind getting one, but once again, it depends on the price and whatever, right? So the prices these days probably won't get one, but we'll see.
I know. Well, it's with him not working traditional too often anymore. It's just going to keep driving the prices up on that stuff. I mean, I remember 10 years ago seeing like stacks of those cover prelims, and they're absolutely fantastic.
Right.
But they were cheap, and now it's like I couldn't afford. Well, I couldn't say I couldn't afford them, but you know what I mean. It's like
you don't want to spend it. You can afford it.
Right, but on a cover prelim, but they were. I remember they were just like $150, $200, and they were fantastic. But now it's like they're 4 or 5 times that just for the prelim.
More even, yeah.
And you're right, more even if it's a Wonder Woman one. And I remember seeing a couple of those, and I'm like, oh, I might buy that. And I'm like, nah. Those are the days, of course.
Yeah, I remember the days early on, like the art was always there. I remember, like for example, Spencer had a whole bunch of George Perez Avengers. And then also like Romita Mammoth of Fear, they were just there every year. I would have to wait for the annual sale to buy it because they're always there.
Yep.
And then one day they're all gone, right? So, right? So yeah, that was one lesson I guess I never learned. I just assumed that they'll always be there, and then but no, but they won't be. So
let's see. Rich Danny says finished Killing Joke pages were rough.
Yay.
First came out. Yeah, not anymore. I know, and Felix has like one of the best Killing Joke pages on CAF.
Right. Yeah.
As you're probably familiar with that piece. I know it's like every time Felix is, I love his CAF gallery because it's one of the it's like yours and his, and there's about 20 collectors whose galleries I just kind of check out just to ogle the work, from when I have time. So let's see. Just inquired about a J. Scott prelim. Sorry, I'm just reading through some stuff, and it was couldn't bear to spend. Yep, exactly. But you know what? If you don't pull the trigger now, it'll be $1,600 in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's the problem with the way things are going in the hobby. I mean, it's not a problem at all. I mean, the thing is, it's great, especially when you're seeing living artists make the kind of
exactly. Yeah.
That to me, is phenomenal, given the fact that when you look back on, I mean, Kirby did, his pieces were selling pretty decent for the time when he had his artwork. But you think about all the guys like Al Milgram and other people who's seeing their covers sell for decent money now, because 90s covers and late 80s covers are really hot. But boy, they didn't sell for nothing back in the day. So I don't begrudge any of the guys getting the money that they're getting on current work, and guys like Campbell, he's always been hot, and and anymore, again, it's back to supply and demand, especially with that, and without being able to go to cons, these guys can pretty much charge whatever they want online. So yeah. So anyway, maybe yes, Tim, you should definitely pull the trigger. So yeah, see, now I'm trying to be an enabler. Right. And Rich says there's no wiggle room to wait and think for a couple of days. Got to jump on it immediately.
It depends on what, but certainly, that's one thing in this hobby, right? Like you gotta, if it's right, you gotta go for it. It might be gone.
Exactly. No, I mean, I learned that on Comic Art Live. There was a few. I'm not a high shopper, so I actually had saved a bunch of things in the first hour of the show opened because I didn't have to do anything after it opened. Right. And then I got stuck in running the panels, and around 4 or 5 o'clock that day, I went back to my saved list, and half of the pieces had sold.
Right.
And then a couple of the pieces that I inquired about because they weren't marked as sold had sold. People just didn't mark them. So it's so true. It's like, especially, and Comic Art Live is a little different, but it's true. When you see it, you just got to do it. I mean, here I was like, I'm going to follow like a regimen here. And it's a mistake. Sometimes you just have to go after it. Yeah. And I don't know why I always forget it, and it's because there was a
priorities, whatever, right? But
yeah, I know. But when you're in the heat of it, you should always remember it, though. It should be the thing that kind of drives you. And it seems like whenever I get in the heat of it, I always fall back into the let's wait and see. Will it be there tomorrow? And then I think there's something like my mom probably instilled into me. She's like, just wait until tomorrow, and then it won't be there. And it's almost. Then you've saved your money, son. And,
there you go.
And I think that because that's been my approach. I really need to stop doing that. But let's see. So I feel like I covered all the bases that I wanted to talk to you about, Melvin. But and we got about an hour in, which is good. I did not want to when I did that last interview with Ruben, the collector. I still can't say it. He and I talked for over 2.5 hours.
Oh, you did? Oh, I skimmed that one, but okay. I didn't know.
It was a marathon, and I can't believe Ruben lasted through it. But Ruben has so many good stories. It's like we should have broken that up into two because he had a lot of funny, a lot of interesting stories because obviously working as a dealer and a collector,
right.
And he's been in it so long. Let's see. Sean says.
Yes, Sean. It's on your. If you go to your page, it says there favorite or liked or whatever. Under liked, right?
Yes. So he's asking about how many people are watching or saved. It was saving or viewing a piece of art in your Comic Art Live booth. Yes, if you go back to your booth, which you can still get to as an exhibitor. Sorry, I should pull that one out. Answer front. You can go back to your gallery through your managed gallery section. So you can get back into your booth, and every piece of art has a view count and how many times it was saved. Now, I mean, and one of the
it's called
things,
like though. I think the actual word on the page is called like, right? Or likes.
well, if it says likes on it, then my wife made a mistake because it should have said saves. But
pretty sure it said like, but yeah.
All right. Well, she's not in the room, so I can't. But yeah, it should have been saves because that's how I remember it was all set up as saves. It was like how you as a buyer were saving pieces of art to go back and look at later.
Ruben, someone else that also emailed it a lot. He wasn't happy that I skimmed his interview. I know. I'll carve out some time, Ruben.
Ruben got a lot of comments during his thing, and I think he might. I don't think he must have invited a lot of people to come in because there was a lot of chatter going on during Ruben's thing. I'm just hopping over to the booth because son of a gun, it does say likes.
Yeah.
Man, all right.
I just figured out that's what it meant, right? Like obviously.
It meant saves. How many people saved your item?
Yeah.
So and if anybody wasn't paying attention to any of the chats that we had on Tuesday or on Sunday, one of the things that I think it came out of the Tuesday conversation was what we want to set up for next time is when, say, you've got like 5 people that have saved a piece of art, in your booth, that we want to provide the exhibitors with a mechanism, hopefully during the show, but it could be after the show too, where you could say you do drop the price to it on Saturday evening. Where you could actually anonymously email. You won't know who those five people are, but push an email out to them saying, "I did drop it. Drop the price from $3,500 to $3,000, or I'm taking offers on it, or whatever." And it could happen during the show, and you've got access to them to this for 30 days at least after the show. You could do it then too. So that would and. These are probably innovations that could get rolled into CAF in general, but it's fun doing the show because it kind of gets people talking and kicking. Because that wasn't my idea. It just it came out of conversations about. It started out as if somebody saves an item, and then the booth changes the price. Shouldn't that let the person who saved it know that they changed the price?
Right.
And that's I could do it that way, or I could do it where the exhibitor actually has a little bit more control over pushing some kind of market.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that during your talk with the Brookie and them. So that makes sense. I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah, no, and again, good ideas to add to the site too. In general, when you've gotten a lot of interest in a piece that you have in your classifieds, you should be able to get some. Malvin made us promise not to troll him too hard.
Yeah, so Sean, I forgot to mention, Comic Art Chat is kind of how I know Sean, right? Your site used to have a chat section.
It did.
So yeah. Brian Peck is there every night, most nights. Sean Lackey and another Sean's there. So yeah, we're like kind of the regulars there. And yeah, eventually we went to Facebook. We went to a few other places right after that. That's when we were there. So
I know we had that. That was something that I really liked. I didn't use it that often myself, but I knew that there was a core group of people that always met, and I knew Brian was always in there. And the problem was
security, right? Was it security or something?
No. It had a memory. It was a program. We actually it was an application that ran on the server to run that, and it was great because we were actually able to integrate it with your CAF account. So there wasn't like you had to have a second login or log in with Facebook. Right. It worked with your CAF account, but the application had a memory leak. And what would happen was after 4 weeks or so, I had to I'd always have to reboot the server, or everything just started slowing down and grinding.
Oh, okay.
And the thing was, it was weird. It wasn't like it was just always 4 weeks. Sometimes it would happen after a week. And so I didn't want to have to keep rebooting the server. And we tried working with the developers, what's wrong? They couldn't give us an answer. And so we ended up just having to turn it off. Yeah, memory leaks are brutal. I mean, especially on a server that was as busy as CAF.
Right.
And yeah, so we had to get rid of it. And it's unfortunate because it was something that I think I look back on it now, and I wish I had something like that running on CAF today. It would be really great to have a separate chat running in Comic Art Live.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Right. That's something that people have asked for, is like to make the show a little bit more interactive, is to actually have something where people can be live chatting with other collectors who are there. So I don't know. It's something I should probably look into again. I mean, because that was 5-6 years ago when we turned that off.
Yeah, it's a long time now. Yeah, we were. Yeah, I think because we all started. I think in the Comic Art L had a chat, and then And
Right.
I think we migrated to CAF chat, and then
And now Facebook's just like one big chat, which depending on which group you're in. Or
we have our own little group that we're all formerly the chat people.
Right, exactly. So we'll see, but I should look into it because I'm sure by now there's probably something better
right?
that wouldn't crash your server. Probably something I don't even have to have running on my server. Where it's
okay, makes sense.
Maybe like a widget of some kind. So I'll have to look into that. But well, listen, Melvin, I totally appreciate it. Oh, use the message board and CAF. Yeah, I mean that's another way I could do it. I don't know. We'll see. I've got a lot of ideas, but Sean, you should make a note of the ideas that you've had and send them to me. There is a Comic Art L replacement. Well, there is, right? I haven't signed up for it yet, though. I think Ruben started the list.
I'm not sure who, but I signed up for it. Yeah.
Have you signed up, Melvin?
Yeah. And the double post. Yeah, free list. You just sign up, right? It's pretty straightforward. I think it's agree or something. A couple of.
Right. I'll have to do it because I'm sure I'm missing out on some announcements. And thank you, Ruben. I did sell my Elementals #4 cover. And it's I had it for sale forever and nobody wanted it, and I don't know. And then I took it down about a year ago, and then I put it up in the show just so I could have something in there, and I got an offer right away. So it was good.
All right, awesome.
Yeah. And if anybody has any Elementals pages for sale, I have $1,000 now. So if maybe I can get 2 good pages, maybe 3, but that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking for. So anybody has any for sale, hit me up because I felt like 2 good interior pages were better than having that one cover. So that's my philosophy. So Malvin, again, I appreciate it, man. It was really nice getting a chance to talk with you, and I'm glad that Simon now knows what you look like.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll have to get. Well, Simon was actually in one of the panels, so we all know what he looks like now. But maybe I can get Simon to be on one of these chats sometime, and you can kind of rib him from the side.
Exactly. I should do that.
So, all right. Well, listen, again, it's been a lot of fun, and let's see. If there's nothing else you have to add, we might as well just wrap it up and call it.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having the chat. So.
No, not a problem. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody, and I appreciate it. And the next show will be on Tuesday. It's a Comic Art live chat with the guys, and we're going to do a heritage recap. And I believe I'm going to take next Thursday off because of the holiday, or at the very least, I won't be interviewing anybody. I might just do a quick 20-minute show and tell like I always do, and then be done. Just because I would think most people are, hopefully are traveling for the holiday and not wanting to sit around and watch me chat online. So again, thanks again, Melvin. Have a great evening, everybody.